Hey everybody, and welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Kongs.
And today we're talking about a new Prodigy episode. Episode 13 of Season 1, All the World's a Stage, written by Aaron Walke.
So I knew it was going to be good. I had expectations, Stuart, which sometimes is dangerous with these new treks, if the trailer or the implied tease is really exciting. And this one had some TOS possibilities. That's even more stressful of how it might play out. Stuart, what did you think, being the TOS man you are?
Awesome. I think it was a fantastic thing for Trekkies. You could say that Mr. Aaron Walke has a bit of an obsession. People are wondering what I mean. Well, Ensign Garevik, David Garevik from the episode Obsession. That's who this is about.
Oh.
Yeah, he apparently did a solo rescue mission with the Galileo and disappeared. So, this was amazing. Live log and proper is great. All of the name references, the TOS iconography perfectly done. Before we jump on all the TOS stuff, though, honestly, I gotta say, awesome that we get Barnes Frex. They found his escape pod. He was rescued by an unidentified ship who they're tracking, and get a little bit of the Janeway Dauntless stuff out of the way right away. So that was awesome. But yeah, anyway, the TOS stuff's great. I love the reconfiguring of the control panels on the Protostar. Top-notch job. Because I've speculated that the Foley class can do the same thing. So that's awesome.
Oh, so you're saying the Foley can become Protostar consoles?
No. Well, it could if it wanted to. It's a long story. Never mind. Holographic panel displays. You can configure whatever way it works best for you. I like that. There's so much good stuff here. I don't know where to start. I just know I'm really excited. Love the episode, and I'll leave it at that. And I'll find out what you thought about the episode.
It's funny how the last time he did an episode, which was the first season, it was on the TNG bridge, and it was with all the characters, and it was how do you make a Kobayashi Maru situation the same yet different yet new, with a conceit of I want to try and get actors that have either passed away or have only dialogue in archives into an episode, and it all worked shockingly well with a strong emotional twist. Mm-hmm. And then once again, how do we do a second contact with a TOS theme that isn't TOS, with an inclusion of TOS, with an inclusion of a twist, with an inclusion of a strong moral message at the end? It's not quite as strong, but that was extraordinary. But that. If that's the bar to go by, holy hell, it's very good. Mm-hmm. It's very, very good. I mean, I was definitely, you're craving more TOS, and I think you're taking on a gentle ride of
It's such a build-up.
And then it properly hits you with the shuttle, which is beautiful, and the console, which was absolutely gorgeous. So it does a nice. You think it might be over of showing stuff and recreating, and then it gives you another chunk. Although we didn't quite get a moment with the characters pretending to be Sulu and Kirk on the bridge saying dialogue. I was always waiting for a series of dialogue lines, but that's okay. Very, very small thing. That's just they also had impersonators for a reason. Fun, good. The through line is sad, with Dal. What's even the point? But I like the vibe of yes, doesn't matter. We can still do good things at the end of this. It's amazing to see a long distant TOS explored place. I want to know where the hell they are then, because I guess they're in the Alpha Quadrant. Because
TOS Enterprise, the last visitation was 100 years ago.
But it was the Enterprise, because I was assuming TOS just meant like the Valiant or the Excalibur, some other ship that we can whatever, and that would have been fine. I was shocked to see the Enterprise, because now we know the Enterprise went out that far, and I wouldn't have thought they'd go to the edge of the Gamma Quadrant or Beta Quadrant or Beta, but we'll have to learn the context of that. I mean, the Protostar can jump anywhere, but they're not just going to proto into the middle of the Alpha Quadrant for no reason. So you'd think they'd be near enough the edge of the Alpha Quadrant Federation.
I was going to say, I kind of get the vibe they're skirting the edge of the Alpha Quadrant, Delta Quadrant.
But I guess that's interesting. So, then if this is all true, then the comm buoy was at the edge of Federation space, and this is further in than that. So 100 years later from TOS, deep exploration, we now have that's the edge of our space. So I guess that could be the sense of that's how far we went 100 years, which I kind of like. I mean, I was obviously hoping for one exterior, one flashback, one moment. of seeing, and amazing to hear there's actually a character of seeing the Galileo leave the TOS Enterprise and go to the planet. That would have been there already is cherry on the cake of this episode. That would have been the chocolate sauce, like proper Belgian chocolate sauce dripped on the cherry, which got onto the main cake, which got onto the underlayer.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And even going back to the TOS consoles, did you notice that when they were pushing the TOS console buttons on the Protostar, they looked TOS, but they were refined. They weren't as big and clunky as the actual buttons from TOS. So it's an advancement and a modern way to show the TOS look. I'm just saying, it's possible. Yeah, that was pretty awesome, I gotta say. And seeing Dal in the TOS captain's chair with the panels, the display screens behind him, it was just, oh my god, yes.
And to see him use the flip open communicator and then touch his communicator. It's hard to make those moments make sense in canon. So when you have the opportunity, make your character use the TOS communicator. Yeah, do it. And it still works. And I liked that the race had a limited tech, because it wasn't that they, recreated or constructed. They had whatever kit was left on a Galileo. So I was kind of waiting for the phaser scene because that was in the trailer. But they do have like 4 or 5 phasers, and that's all they have. And they would have maybe maximum 4 communicators. I like their limitation there. They'd stuff, but not too much. So they kind of idolized the tech, but they weren't everywhere. They had so much, only so much.
Yeah, it was great. And then hearing all like the take on names like Sprock and Sulu. And when I first heard Gallows, I was like, that's weird. I was actually thinking like a gallows with a noose, and then I'm like, wait a minute, Gallows, Galileo? No, it wouldn't be the Galileo. That doesn't make any sense. So I love that follow through of seeing the actual Galileo. I just hate that it was one of those cliches of as soon as they arrive, there's the one drop that actually causes it makes it shift, which makes it gonna fall. If they'd been like a day late, they would never have seen it. Well,
I was certainly expecting them to save the shuttle, and the shuttle end up being like repaired and inside their base, because it seems like it seems like such a waste. Or even, can you imagine, Stuart, if they actually if the race had as a gift take the shuttle, and the shuttle's then on the Protostar as one of their shuttles because they need shuttles. Because that would have been such a fun link. Because just from a museum perspective,
and even Jankum saying, "I've been studying 23rd century ships, and this one's got a duotronic communicate." I love it. It's like, yes. So you would have maybe known how to fix it or replicate parts for it. It would have been cool to have kind of like a hybrid cobbled together Galileo with like some modern hull plating on the top where that hole was, and some different panels on the inside.
Well, you never know. They've now made the asset, and if he's a fan of this tech, he might say computer replicate a full shuttle. I mean, that's a possibility. The asset is there. It's silly, but like you say, you could replicate it with advanced internals, but a retro old chassis. I mean, they could do. Although we did get a interesting sort of retcon, which I should probably now override all our previous assumptions. They have now explicitly said this Galileo Class F has a warp engine.
It's always been in question whether the Class F has been able to have warp. It's been speculated in beta canon and other things that it does. It's never confirmed on screen. But actually, our data files, I included information that said it was warp capable. Yay! I love the plasma runoff mixing with dilithium, though, as being the cause of the pathogen. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, because in some episodes, the ship is clearly not trapped. I mean, the TOS, the of warp is just stars going slightly quicker, so it's hard to see visually what they're doing. But in the episode where we see them chase the Enterprise, the logic is that they're chasing the Enterprise. They've got to be at warp, but the shuttle cannot go to a warp that's capable of chasing the ship effectively, and Kirk will know that. So all Spock has to do is go to warp 4, and they'd outrun them, and they'd be lost in space and die. So it has to be an impulse to be able to justifiably catch them, maybe, and also they ran out of fuel. There isn't warp fuel in that context, so the episode doesn't make sense for either way. And that's why some of the TNG shuttles haven't got warp, and it's kind of it's fun when they get warp. That was a big deal. Discovery, they had warp from day one, at least their shuttles. Warp, yeah, but now officially, Class Warp F has a warp engine.
I'm fine to just believe that it's got limited warp. Not very fast, and not for very long periods of time before it does run out of antimatter or whatever.
Any warp it's now warp capable, though. It turns it from a shuttle to planet to shuttle to anywhere, which is useful. So that's officially a TOS retcon confirmation, I should say, because they could have said Class H, But no, it's the one we know.
It was the Galileo 7, though. It had 7 on the side.
Good script. The Murph thing progressing slowly. They didn't give Rock Talk much. Gwen got absolutely nothing to do.
Fair to say, yeah.
Yeah, who was the main character? I guess the story was in this episode. Because there's a lot of stories to tell. You know, it was a very strong through line. Like, certainly when they got into the cave, I'm thinking, I wonder what it's going to be. I'm going to find out in 1 minute, because it's such a short episode. Like, they had to be so efficient with storytelling that, yeah.
Yeah, well, we asked Aaron what his favorite thing coming up was, and he did say a spiritual successor to a piece of the action, which this is basically paying the story, the idea of a piece of the action is the main character for this episode. And I love how it also ties into with Worlds of the Federation, the book, because the piece of the action planet, McCoy left his communicator behind, and then when they go back like 80 years later or whatever, they find like a actual functioning Federation style starbase, and like their clothes look similar, but they're a little off to the TOS ones. So it's kind of funny that way. Yeah, I think that was definitely an inspiration for this, but it was so well done. I don't know why all their uniforms were the same color though. They had the statue of the guy with Garevik in red, and they had his red one on the wall with the phaser, but they all had like a bluish green, which is kind of weird.
They had Kirk wraparound colour, but a little more muted. I mean, my assumption is that the idea of the red is like the sacred colour, because he's the saviour, he's the helper, so only the one can wear red.
They said that in the play, like the hero.
But it is certainly, like, there's leaps in logic with how would they know Sulu's voice enough to recreate Sulu's voice.
Be logs on the Galileo that Garevik let them listen to.
I mean, yes, but that was 100 years ago. Unless some.
Well, that's why the names are all off, because it's been passed down.
I get that, but I get so the vocal inclination, like the Kirk voice, is passed. People learn the Kirk voice and speak in it. I mean, I kind of like the idea that like someone is chosen every generation to be the Kirk, and he has to like learn to act like Kirk. That's kind of fun, although, you know, to get that in the first place, they'd really have to listen to logs. But then getting the name wrong seems odd, because the name wrong would be the first thing you get right. They clearly didn't leave any like data pads, otherwise they'd have all the information right there.
Well, I sure there's a tricorder that had like burned out like.
Oh yeah, no tricorder.
Like 20 years ago or something. Or
Spark, this is good as teeth. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'd have had to pay royalties to Shatner and Nimoy's estates, but they could have had a log on a tricorder, like you say, of them, and you hear Sulu's voice and him saying Sulu, but he gets corrupted to Sulu. That'd have been.
Some static or something. Yeah.
Maybe there's like the daily prayers is beep. The TMS tricorder plays the logs for the day, and because it's so advanced, there's like a 3-day log of things. So you could have like even more meta jokes of well, I mean they do. I mean, how they know the Kirk food, the stuff like that. Is meta jokes, but you could have had.
It also doesn't make sense if it's just 100 years though. For them to lose the pronunciation and stuff, because I mean Starflight instead of Starfleet, and the Federation stuff. Federation. I love that they at the end of the episode too, they do call them the
Enterprisians.
Enterprisians, yeah. So that was nice. This is one I think that was just it was one for fun. It was there's some little plot holes or questions, I guess, but I mean we talk to Aaron on a regular basis, so
yeah, it's a conceit on a conceit. They can't fly Constitution class controls for realsies. They had non-functioning buttons that replicas from 100 years ago that weren't functioning. They can't fly it, but that's not the point. There's conceits built in that are fun, that are absolutely fine.
That's the one thing that confused me too, where they're walking through the new Enterprise, and you see like the main view screen, and there's like a video playing. It's almost like the Thermians in Galaxy Quest watching the historical documents, but it's one of them in one of their uniforms, but there's an actual like helm console with the pop-up scanner, and they're pushing buttons and stuff. Like, where's that? Like, how is that built? So that confused me a little bit, but it's all good. I
don't think they're building real consoles from mud huts 100 years ago. Doesn't matter if you've got a shuttle or not. But that's not the point. It's super fun. and it works really well as a concept because we have this really good idea. It's an idea show. How do we make every scene kind of work? There's little things they could have done extra, like I would have loved the sick bay to be sick bay from the TOS Enterprise. That I thought was a missed opportunity. Like closer, just the same framework, or them to go out of it. Like there's a door to the corridor. The corridor is just this big open atrium that we see. So it's like this, this enclosed tiny space because the actual sets are quite small. And then, that would have been nice to have the sick bay, and they could have even made it more like how they could have Dr. McCoy's gecko on the ceiling on the wall, but it's like a alligator. Like, it could have been a little bit more with a few things.
Wouldn't it be funny though if they need to go back to this planet near the middle of this section of near the end of the season to use some of the old TOS communicator tech to actually communicate with Janeways without infecting the Dauntless?
Oh yes,
because it's still a Federation signature. It's just an old one.
That is true. Why would that be? If they've now said they can't call Starfleet, if a communicator is not part of the ProStars network, it should be clean. I guess you could imply that the bomb device is so powerful it's just hacking every bit of tech in the local vicinity. Doesn't matter what it is. Which, it seems very advanced. I love when he's trying to go into it and it's literally deconstructing around him. That was a really good visual. So I'm guessing it's just wirelessly controlling anything in the vicinity.
Well, you'd assume their comm badges are made by the replicator, which would replicate that into the...
But those would have been made before the ship was converted, though, because there'd have been uniforms and comm badges for the crew that were then put into storage.
No, they get broken down in the replicator.
Well, why?
I would
assume comm badges can't be replicated. Personally, they're too advanced. I would like to think.
Makes sense. And a tie in that this is kind of the solution to the problem, at least contacting Janeway or something. I would like that, but
at least they have a home base that's like friends. That's important to note as well. Safe haven.
Yeah, this was definitely a feel-good episode. I did recognize the ship, the new Enterprise. It was a familiar-looking ship, but I can't place it. We'll need to look into that.
Basically, join us for our full live, guys, because there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of... Freeze! Let's look at the visual moments. A couple in particular. Which I'm annoyed we can't put in thumbnails, because I don't want to spoil the audience. But there's one shot, obviously, of Dial on the bridge. That's such a good thumbnail!
I know. There's so many good thumbnails in this one when I was watching. I was like, ooh, I can't use that one.
Nope.
Anyway.
That's okay.
Yeah, so hit that like button, comment down below what you thought about this episode, and please join us for our live later tonight. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our notifications for said lives. We do a lot of them. We love discussing this kind of thing in detail with you guys. So by all means, join us.
They're pretty in-depth breakdowns. Let's be honest.
Yes.
Yeah. And support if you can directly. Patreon, PayPal, join the channel on YouTube. Super chat in the lives. Super thanks in any video. Buy a shirt down below. Or PayPal, trekyards@hotmail.com. Any amount all helps us. And just keep watching our stuff.
And until next time, guys, live log and proper. I can't get these two together. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.